For over 4 decades, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi ruled Libya with an iron fist. Rising to power in 1969 through a military coup that ousted King Idris, Gaddafi styled himself as a revolutionary, a Pan-Africanist, a defender of Arab unity, and a fierce opponent of Western imperialism. He wore flamboyant uniforms, traveled with an all-female bodyguard squad, and pitched a Bedouin tent even on foreign state visits. Yet behind the eccentric image was a man who controlled his country through fear, censorship, secret police, and brute force. By 2011, the world around Gaddafi was changing fast. The Arab Spring, a wave of uprisings against dictatorships in the Middle East and North Africa, had toppled regimes in Tunisia and Egypt. The fire of revolution spread to Libya in February of that year. Citizens in Benghazi and other cities took to the streets, demanding an end to Gaddafi's rule. The regime responded with violence. Protesters were gunned down. Snipers fired into crowds. Gaddafi, in a televised speech, called the protesters rats and vowed to hunt them house to house. Rather than calm the storm, his threats only fueled it.
Please do well to like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't, as an encouragement for more of this kind of content.
As the violence escalated, opposition forces coalesced into a rebel army, and Libya plunged into civil war. Gaddafi lost control of the eastern half of the country, and international condemnation grew. In March, the United Nations approved a no-fly zone to protect civilians, and NATO launched airstrikes against Gaddafi's military. His forces were pushed back. One by one, cities fell to the rebels. By August, Tripoli, the capital, was under rebel control. Gaddafi vanished from the public eye. His elaborate compounds were destroyed. His family members fled. But Gaddafi refused to leave Libya. He remained defiant, convinced that the people still loved him, that he could still win. For weeks, the world speculated about his whereabouts. Some thought he had fled to neighboring countries. Others believed he was in a secret underground bunker. In reality, Gaddafi was hiding in his hometown, Sirte, which had become the final stronghold of his loyalists. The once proud city was reduced to rubble from weeks of fighting. Gaddafi, now a fugitive, moved from house to house, using a network of tunnels and relying on a dwindling circle of guards and aides. Food was scarce, communication was limited. The self-proclaimed King of Kings of Africa was reduced to eating stale bread and sleeping on the ground. On October 20, 2011, Gaddafi made a desperate attempt to escape. At dawn, a convoy of vehicles tried to flee Sirte, but NATO aircraft spotted them and launched an airstrike. The convoy was decimated. Gaddafi survived the blast and fled on foot with a handful of bodyguards. They took shelter in a culvert, a large drainpipe under a highway. It was a humiliating place for a man who had ruled from golden thrones, but the end had come. Rebel fighters from Misrata were combing the area. One of them, a young man named Mohammed al-Bibi, discovered Gaddafi. Armed only with a pistol, Gaddafi was dragged out of the pipe, bloodied, dazed, and begging for his life. He reportedly said, "Don't shoot, don't shoot." But the fighters were not interested in mercy. Years of pain, loss, and rage boiled over. They beat him, taunted him, and in the chaos, shots were fired. Some reports claim he was sodomized with a stick or weapon. Others say he died from a bullet to the head. No clear forensic account ever settled it. The footage of his capture and death spread instantly. Grainy mobile phone videos showed the dictator's final moments, wounded, terrified, and helpless. Soon his lifeless body was stuffed into the back of a pickup truck and taken to Misrata. For several days, it was displayed in a cold storage freezer at a meat market as citizens lined up to see it, to spit at it, to take pictures with it. A man who had once been above all law was now a broken corpse exposed for the world to see. His death marked the end of a 42-year reign and one of the longest dictatorships in modern history. But the fall of Gaddafi did not bring the stability many had hoped for. Libya descended further into chaos. Militias fought for control. A power vacuum formed. The country split into rival governments, and foreign powers backed opposing factions. Terrorist groups like ISIS found footholds in the anarchy. Some Libyans still look back at Gaddafi's rule with nostalgia, remembering the free education, housing, and healthcare. Others recall the torture chambers, disappearances, and state surveillance. Internationally, opinions were equally divided. To many, Gaddafi's brutal end was poetic justice. To others, it was a disturbing example of lawless vengeance. Either way, history had turned its page. Muammar Gaddafi, once one of the most feared and flamboyant leaders in the world, died not in grandeur, but in a storm drain, hunted by his own people, betrayed by time, and stripped of everything but the gold-plated pistol he couldn't use. His death was not just the fall of a man, it was the collapse of a regime that had outlived its time, dragged into the future, kicking, screaming, and finally, silent.